Welcome to the front field of Bigwood Farm. My name is Corinne and today I'm going to show you how to build a wreath using the wreath kits from the farm. So this kit is going to give you a finished wreath of approximately 18 inches. When you're finished, it's going to look something like this, more or less. You will end up with lots of extra greenery from the kit that you can use for your Christmas decorations. You can make extra little decorations for your house. Tuck some of the greenery into your Christmas bouquets or your centerpieces, and it smells really good when you're cutting it and working with it. So I'm going to introduce you to my husband Doug, and he is going to follow along while I do the wreath instructions, and he's going to build his own wreath. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so let's open up this kit. By the way, this string that the kit is tied with, just put it aside because you may need to use it for extra twine on tying on your wreath form. So let's just put it aside. Let's open it up and let's see what we've got. You've got your wreath form. You just take it out. Wreath form. Here we've got some fluffy fir branches. Just a few of them. This is what we're going to stuff the wreath form with. We've got some salal, some holly, some twigs, some Leylandi cedar, some western red cedar, and some fir. In the kit we have a short piece of green twine and a long piece of green twine, and some green wires, a cable tie for the end, and fir cones. Uh-oh. Okay. We also have instructions here if you prefer to follow along with the writing. So let's get started. I'm just going to move this over. We're going to fill our wreath base. This is step one. We're going to start with the small green twine. Just want to untangle it. And you want to tie it on the back of the wreath form in a crotch, like on a middle section of the wire there on the crotch, so it doesn't slip around when you're twisting the twine. So go ahead and pick a spot there and double knot it. And then you want to take your fluffy fir branches and you want to just lay them in your wreath form. And I should say there's a round side of the wreath form and a flat side of the wreath form. The round side is the front of your wreath form and the flat side is the back of your wreath form. I've made this mistake before, so round is the front, flat is the back. So we're going to put your fluffy fir branches, which are the shorter ones in your kit, and you're just going to sort of layer them around the wreath form like that. Fill in any spots that aren't filled. And now with your twine, pulling it kind of taut, you're just going to wrap it around the wreath form, securing the fluffy fir in. And you want to probably wrap it about 10 times. That would be good. Once you get all the way around to the beginning, you're just going to find a spot and tie a knot. And that's it. So tuck bits in there, but you should end up with a wreath form that looks something like this. It's nice and full. Now we can go on to the next step. Okay, so step two of making our wreath is we're going to make bundles. The bundles we layer on top of the wreath and make it look nice and full. So first, I forgot to mention before, is you're going to need either some pruning shears or some scissors, and you're going to need some space. So let's take the salal and twigs, holly, and let's just put that aside. And let's take our branch types and separate them. So you've got your Leylandi cedar. I'm just going to put them back here to keep them separate. And then you've got your western red cedar. I'm going to take those and I'm going to put them in a separate pile, and then we've got our fir, and I'm going to take those and I'm just going to put them over here. So now we're going to make the bundles. This wreath size takes about 20 bundles. Okay. Takes about 20 bundles. So what we're going to start with is we're going to start with the cedar, the western red cedar. We're going to make the bundles, and we're going to cut pieces of approximately 6 inches. So this is how I measure, approximately 6 inches, like so. And we're going to cut 20 pieces of that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't worry if they're not all exactly the same, because in the end, they all go together and overlap and they look great. You just want them to be approximate. So just as an example, see how those two look different? That's okay, it's going to look really good on the wreath. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to cut 20 pieces of this western red cedar. Okay, so I've got 20 pieces of the flat western red cedar cut, and now my next layer is going to be fir. So I'm going to get my Douglas fir branch, and I'm going to cut 20 pieces of approximately 6 inches, just like I did here, and layer them right on top. So now we've got our second layer of fir. Then we're going to move on to the Leylande, which is right here. The Leylande cedar. It's just a little bit brighter color. So again, 6-inch piece right on top. So see how it's just a simple layering process. So we've got the western red cedar, we've got the Douglas fir piece, and then we've got the Leylande. And we're just going to keep going, cut 20 pieces, and we're going to fill up our little bundles. Okay, so now you've got your third layer on, and oh, I missed one. There we go. So the next layer we're going to put on is we're going to put, only on 10 of them, we're going to put pieces of, a piece of salal. So I'm just going to go over here to my salal pile. You're going to have to cut it right in the middle, and it's okay, it's still going to look good. This is going to be for 2. 1, 2. So we just go through and we're going to do half the bundles with a piece of salal, just like that. So now I've got 10 of the bundles with an additional piece of salal, and now I'm going to go ahead and put a little 6-inch twig on top of the salal on only 10 of the bundles. So now, 10 of the bundles are complete, and on the 10 that don't have the salal, I'm just going to add another piece of fir. So go back to your Douglas fir, get 10 nice little pieces, and top off the other 10 bundles. Okay, so now all of our bundles are complete, and now we're ready to put them onto the wreath frame. Okay, so now we're on to step 3 of our wreath building, which is putting the bundles onto the wreath base. So let's grab the wreath base that we made earlier, which I had to put mine over there because my table's full. And the first step is we need to get our longer piece of twine from our kit, and we need to tie it to the wreath base, just like we tied the first smaller one. We need to tie the longer one to the back on a crotch as we did before. So give that a double knot because you're going to be pulling it pretty taut as you wrap it around. Okay. On the rounded side up, we are going to lay alternately our bundles. So we're going to start with one of the bundles with salal, we're going to take it and we're going to lay it right where we tied our line. We're going to lay it flat, sort of, kind of like off to the side there, a little bit out of a diagonal. Spread it out a little bit if you want. We're going to lay that flat like that. We're going to take our twine. I'm going to wrap, uh-oh, I lost my twine. Take it and we're going to wrap it around once. And you're going to pull it. You're going to pull it pretty taut, okay? Then you're going to get your next bundle, the one without salal, and we're going to take it and we're going to layer it right on top of that bundle, right in the middle, right overlapping. We're going to take our string, we're going to go right over that again, and we're going to pull that pretty tight, okay? Now we're going to go back to a pile with salal. I'm going to put it on like that. I'm going to go around. And we're going to wrap that, hold that pretty tight. And we're just going to go back and forth alternating the pile with salal, the pile without salal. Maybe you don't want to put the salal in, maybe you want to make them all the same. It's up to you, but the kit that I've made is this design, but you could do whatever you want. So I'm going to keep going, alternating back and forth till I get to the end. I've got one more bundle. So this last one you're going to want to tuck underneath the first one that you put on and overlap the last one and kind of hiding it all. Now you may need a couple of extra bundles. It just depends on how tightly you layer them onto your wreath form, and you might not need 20. Maybe you only need 18. It just depends on, you know, the size of the branches you cut and the amount you overlapped them. And yeah, okay, so now once your last bundle is on, you want it tucked under, like I said, hidden. You're just going to wrap it around, and now you're going to turn your wreath. So making sure that's really tight, you're going to turn it around, and now we're going to double knot it again at a crotch, and that's it, secure it. Okay, so now all the bundles are secured onto your wreath form, and now you should have something that looks kind of like this. It's really good if you can like hang it on a wall or something like that and stand back and take a look and, you know, fluff up little bits. If there's a part that's sticking out that you don't like, just cut it off. I like my wreaths kind of wild looking, so I prefer that. Fluff it up a little bit, and if you want to add some greenery, poke it in any little empty bare spots, now's a really good time to do that. I'm going to add a couple pieces of holly to it, just because I like the way it looks. Put my holly over here. Holly is really hard on the hands to work with, so I add it at the very end. You do have some holly in your wreath kit. Okay, there. So I've just added like 4 little sprigs of holly, and now it's time to move on to the next step, which is the finishing touches. What we're going to do now, before we put any decorations on, is we're going to get that cable tie. You can use the cable tie, or you can use any extra green twine that you have. We're going to flip it over, and we're going to put your hook on the back. So again, you don't want to put it on the top of your wreath. You want to put it on the bottom of the inside of the wreath so that you don't see it when you hang it up. Get Get that on there. Now your wreath has a hook. And the finishing touches, if you want, in your wreath kit, there are fir cones and your green wires. So your green wires, you just take them, sort of fold them in half, wrap it around the cone, try to get it in there if you can so it's invisible, twist it, and now you're ready to place them onto your wreath wherever you want them to go, keeping in mind where the top of your wreath is. So the top of my wreath is here, so when I'm looking at my design, I'm going to be placing it based on that. So I'll finish this up and then I'll show you what my wreath looks like at the very end. Okay, so I'm all done securing the fir cones onto my wreath, and so now the last thing to do is to add any bling that you want on there. You can add, I'm just going to add a ribbon to mine, but you can add like little birds, sit in there, it's pretty cute. You can add little fairy lights, you can add ornaments, feathers, dried slices of oranges, that's always nice. Like, you just dry them out and then you can just wire them on and tuck them in. That looks really cool too. But today I'm just going to go with this ribbon. And the last thing to do is really just to stand back and admire your work. So let's see how my husband Doug's wreath turned out also.
I followed all the steps and I'm really happy with it.
I don't think he listened to the instructions, but that's okay. He's happy with it, so there you go.
Nailed it.
I'd love to see your wreaths, how they turned out. You could maybe share your pictures on Facebook or send me an email if you have any questions. Thanks so much for supporting Bigwood Farm, and have a great holiday with your family.